All right, fifth grade. The next step is to add some sort of design or artwork to your phone stand to customize it and make it a little bit about you. One thing you may want to put onto your base is your name. So if you're going to add your name to it, I'm going to go to the text tool. When you drop it off, it's going to look really large at first. Now, a couple things I'm going to do now, instead of grabbing the handles on the side and resizing it, remember you want to hold the shift key to keep it proportional. But if you go to the center dot, which is at the top, hold your shift key, it will resize it proportionally, so all the sides will be resized, the height and width and the length. Now, this might be a little bit big, so I'm going to have a little bit of space along the edge. Make it a little bit smaller. Now, you could have something raised, like the text right here, or you can have it sunk in, or cut a hole. So I'm going to change it from text to Mr. E. So this went up to the upper area here. I changed it into a hole. Now if I group my letters and my base together, it will cut a hole all the way through. And that might be what you want. Another option for you to do, I'm going to ungroup it and raise it up a couple pixels. Let's make sure you have just your letters selected. So I'm going to raise up my letters two or one. You can see where it overlaps. It's darker. Our width is only 2, so you don't want to raise it up more than 2, as it will just be sitting on top. I could group it. I made a slight cutout. Now, my example that I had printed with the first layer with one color. And my other layers on top, I use a different color so you can see the silver coming through. So that is an option for you if you just do a cutout 1 pixel. All right, so lastly, you have some options to add a picture. You could draw something with the scribble tool. Right here, you could draw a picture. You could make something in Google Draw. You can also go to Google and find an SVG image. So I just went to Google and I wanted to type art palette and then add an SVG. That's a type of file format that scalable vector graphic it stands for. So I'm going to look at a couple of these maybe. So I'm going to click on it. Now sometimes might not work, like these might not all be SVGs. So I'm going to right click on it, or if you're using your Chromebook touchpad, do a 2-finger tap. You want to save the image as. Now this is saved as a JPEG, so JPEG will not work. Now there is another place you can take a JPEG and convert it, but I'm going to look for a different one. So let's take this one. So sometimes if there's a checkerboard background that indicates it's transparent, that sometimes works. I'm going to save image. This is the SVG. I'm going to call this a art palette. When you save it in your Chromebook, it's going to ask you where you want to save it. Now if I go back into Tinkercad, to bring in a saved SVG, I'm going to import. I'm going to choose the file. And then you got to find where you saved it. Now it's probably in the downloads for most of you. All right, so right now you can see it's giving me a preview of the palette. Now it's giving me a warning that the size of the picture is way too big. I want just the art, so that's going to trim off all the extra white. Now if you look at the dimensions, this is ginormous. If you remember, we made our block of our side like 20, so 900 would be really big. So I'm just going to set this, the biggest side, to 20. And it's a square almost. I'll go to import. Now it's going to take that SVG file and make it 3-dimensional. I could have something stacked up. If I were to have something raised, I'm going to make sure a couple things that it is not floating on your, so it's on the ground. So right here you can see how it's floating. I want to make sure it's down. Now I could also make this a hole, just like how I lifted up Mr. E letters 1 pixel. I can do the same thing with this one. Now the hole doesn't matter how tall it is, just whatever is overlapping. You can see it's dark where it's overlapped. Now if I group the two shapes together, it'll make a slight cutout. So I have a cutout, I kind of like that. I wouldn't want to have it going all the way through because then these little pieces would fall out because there's nothing to connect them. All right, once you are complete adding some decorations or designs, I mean, there are other shapes you can use. So you can add a variety of different, you don't have to go to Google. I would prefer you though to remove some of the plastic and make it really tall. It shouldn't be really larger than this high. You can attach a little bit to it, but group this. Let's put a little star in here. All right, now once you're all complete, you have your name and class on the top of the project. Just looking around, make sure I have no pieces floating or going all the way through the floor. Just kind of check everything out. Now, if you join the Tinkercad Google Classroom, this is different than Google Classroom, but the code that you were given for this project, I should be able to connect into your files and help you if you're needing help with it. All right, so once you're done, you're going to go to Export over on the right-hand side. Okay, we want to get everything on here, so I'm going to select everything, hit STL, think St. Louis. Now that's saved it probably to your downloads folder. The next thing you want to do is to go into your Google Classroom page. All right, so to turn in the Tinkercad file you just made, you're going to go into the week 5 Tinkercad Phone Stand project, open the assignment, and we're going to attach that STL file here. So I'm going to hit Add File, and we're going to go to Browse. It's probably going to be in your recent folder or in your downloads. Now it's going to take a minute to load. I'm going to hit Turn In, just to double check you have it on there, and then hit Turn In a second time. And that would send it to me where I would check it. If there's a problem, I will leave a comment for you that you may have to do some changes. All right, guys, I hope you had fun with making your phone stand. Let me know what colors you want in the comments. So if I want to have a couple layers, if I have gray and black, hit the triangle. That way I know what colors you'd like me to print it. I'll assume the first color is the bottom layer and the second color will be the remainder. Or I can print it half and half if you don't have sunken letters. All right, guys, I hope you had fun making the phone stand. I will print these and get them back to you. Take care.